21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
You know how a lot of 9 to 5 professionals or aspiring entrepreneurs, they want to create passive income so they can finally quit their job or they can reinvest into real estate, but they just keep hitting those walls. Trying to figure out, how do you fund deals? How do you scale without a lot of capital? Or oftentimes, like, where do you even start? These 9 to 5 professionals, they've tried courses, they tried books, they tried meetups, but nothing seems to offer low risk or low capital to get started. I help those individuals launch cash flowing Airbnbs without actually needing to buy real estate through a method that I call the Freedom Rental Framework. So essentially, they can make an extra $5,000 to $10,000 per month on autopilot and ultimately buy back their time, their freedom, and their financial future by getting into Airbnb. Originally, I was in a 9 to 5 sales job in the corporate world, and I was doing well. I liked the people, I liked what was there. What I didn't like is I didn't have the freedom to necessarily spend the time I wanted, traveling, having new experiences, kind of working on what I wanted to working on. So I knew I wanted to escape that, and I kind of wanted to have my own portfolio that could help bring me that passive income to buy me that freedom. I wasn't sure how I was going to do that, but I actually went on a trip with my buddies, and while we were on the beach one night, my one friend told me he was getting into real estate and was going to be purchasing multifamily complexes. And I thought that was interesting. I didn't know a lot about it. I didn't know if that was going to be for me. So I just started looking for other areas of opportunity, and I came across Airbnb. And originally, I thought that you had to actually own property to get into Airbnb. But I found this method called arbitrage. And essentially with arbitrage, you can leverage other people's properties to make cash flow by renting out that property and listing it on Airbnb. And you basically make the difference between the amount of revenue you're bringing in minus your rent, utilities, and cleaning. Once I found that out, I realized that this is something I could scale because I already knew how to talk to people. I just need to figure out the method on how to get the funding and get it going. Well, I quickly dove into it, and the very first person I ever pitched their property to do this with actually said yes, which was crazy. So I had that initial upstart, and from there, I was able to, reinvest into learning to keep going after this. And within the first year, I actually scaled to 19 properties. Now I was able to do that while not even having to leverage my own capital. I found out there's something called business credit. So once you have your own company, limited liability company, LLC, you can apply for what's called business credit, which is basically 0% interest loans through business credit cards like Chase and Amex. As long as you're a US citizen, you have a decent credit score, and you open up this business, you're eligible to get that. So I was able to get this funding to continually reinvest into scaling throughout this year. And by the time the year was over, I had 19 properties. Now, it wasn't all perfect. I had a lot of problems. I had things I had to solve. They didn't always go perfectly, and I reinvested all my profits. So technically, at the end of the year, I didn't profit a single thing because I reinvested. But the second year, it started cash flowing very well, and I was able to quit my job to then go into this, full time. And to now, at this point, I have over 40 Airbnb properties and a system that makes it automated, where I really only have to spend 1 to 2 hours a week max on managing, and I can just focus on spending my time how I want to, with my family and traveling and reinvesting in the business. While building this up, there were essentially a few different things that happened that, made this difficult to scale. First off, I overspent on furniture in my first few properties because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the exact list of everything I needed. I bought wrong things. I missed things that I bought, and that caused me to get some initial bad reviews. I also didn't know how to properly hire and train cleaners because not all cleaners are trustworthy. So I had some cleaners that didn't do a good job that cost me negative reviews as well. I think the biggest thing that happened was that I had signed this property with the landlord for 2 units. And 1 week after I had it signed, there was a massive party thrown on a Friday night. And the whole reason the party happened is because there was one button inside Airbnb hidden that I didn't check off that essentially allowed this bad guest to come in and throw this party. I had all the neighbors found my listing, started blasting me, saying that they're going to report me to the city council, that I need to leave, that this is crazy. And I was 4 hours away, so I could not get to it. So I had to call the cops 4 different times. I was up till 2 in the morning to get everybody out. I didn't know the condition of the property. And this is all because I didn't have proper things in place to prevent this kind of thing because I had never gone through it before. And I had actually questioned in that moment whether or not I still wanted to be an entrepreneur because it was extremely stressful. I had to wake up the next day, still go to my 9 to 5, still do the job. And I wasn't sure what the place was going to look like. Well, luckily, they really didn't damage that too many things. And I actually ended up profiting off of that because I was able to file what's called a claim with Airbnb. Basically, Airbnb will reimburse you for things that the guest breaks. I didn't know that much at that time. So I filed these claims. I ended up making more money, like $1,000 off of that, fixed the items, checked that button, and made sure I had systems in place now that would never happen again. And I can tell you, since then, I've had over 3,000 reservations, and I've never had another party happen, which was huge. But unfortunately, when you start off, you never really know how to handle those type of situations. So I had already touched on Airbnb arbitrage and how you can leverage other people's properties by signing a lease and listing on Airbnb. However, there's actually an even less risky, less capital intensive way to get into Airbnb, and that's called co-hosting. That is essentially when you go to a landlord and you say, "Hey, landlord, I like your property. I think it would do really well on Airbnb. If you let me manage it for you and set it up for you, I will make it completely passive and I will just take a percentage of the profits." In this situation, the landlord pays for everything. They pay for the furniture, they pay for the cleaning, they pay for the utilities. So you as an investor and a manager here have $0 out of pocket. All you're doing is helping them set it up, get the proper design, and running the Airbnb for it to be truly passive. And the reason that landlords want this is that they actually end up making more money as it running as an Airbnb compared to them having a long-term tenant. And because you're managing it, it ends up being truly passive for them. So I have multiple of these co-hosting deals in my portfolio now, and it's my number one recommendation for somebody who maybe doesn't have the capital or is a little afraid of the new time investor, but they want to make profits in the least risky manner possible. Now, that being said, I have found through working with hundreds of people at this point that there are a lot of places where people get stuck. And I myself, when I was going through this, had to create all these systems in place, learn from trial and error, understand how to hire cleaners, do softwares, like optimize pricing, like all these little skill sets that you don't realize you need till you get into this business. And so what I have done is I actually have a mentorship where I help people go from zero to $10,000 per month, or sometimes more, depending on your ambition, through Airbnb. And I've noticed that what people need is not content. People don't need content. What they need is skill sets. And the number one skill set you need is actually how to speak with landlords and pitch your services. So what we do is we role play with you to help you understand how to pitch landlords and how to have these skill sets. And we have individual personalized calls with you throughout the way to help you build these skill sets. So it's not just a video course, it's almost like a hand-holding of helping you develop the skills. So each step of the way, you feel confident before you do it. Because ultimately, we want to make sure that every deal you take is making money, and everything you do, you know exactly that you're confident in it and you know how to automate this business and scale. At that point, you can scale as much as you like and you kind of have that freedom. And we found that this process has worked extremely well for all the people we've worked with. So originally getting to this business, my whole goal was to quit my job so I could have that freedom and ability to not only grow, but travel. But as I look forward 5 years, where I really want to ultimately end up and why I'm doing this is I know I'm going to have a family one day. I'm going to want to spend time with them and I'm going to want to see them grow and be able to give them opportunities that maybe I wouldn't have had as well. I also have my own personal hobbies. One thing about me is I'm actually very conversational in Mandarin Chinese. So I want to be fluent and have the time to really focus on that fluency and just learning languages in general, as it's something that I get a lot of passion about besides business. So in 5 years, my plan is to scale this portfolio to around 50 Airbnb units, but then also start purchasing property for Airbnb, which is really the next step of what you can do with this, reinvest your profits to purchase to still get that equity and that longer term security for my family, but have that cash flow so I can spend it with them or do what I want hobby wise. The whole reason I left 9 to 5 is because I didn't want to slave away forever. So it's not my plan to do that for business as well. For those of you listening who are interested in learning more how to get into Airbnb, I want to give back to you guys, give you something for completely free that you guys can leverage to get into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give away 2 freebies, and all you have to do to get these is to go on my Instagram, Adam_Airpreneur, and message me the word launch. Message me the word launch. I'm going to send you these 2 things. Number 1, I'm going to give you the full script, the actual full script I use to talk with landlords and pitch this. Nothing hold back, how to answer the questions, everything that's going to happen to you, the full script. Second, I'm going to give you the 5-step market launch blueprint. This shows you exactly how to find the most profitable markets nearest you. So you don't have to go to other states or fly to get started. You can start within driving distance. And by the time you complete that, you'll know exactly what to target and what's going to be profitable. So if you message me the word launch on my Instagram, Adam_Airpreneur, I have an automated chatbot that will send that out there for you automatically. And if you have any questions, I can chat with you on it. Or if you're interested as well, you can go to our YouTube channel, simply called Airpreneur, where every single week we upload content on how to get started with Airbnb.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.